Hey there, I am back with another video, and today going to be looking at my top 5 decks from Theory11. Theory11 started back in 2007 and has since become one of, if not the most prolific producers of high-end playing cards in the market. They have 78 different decks since then, and what I love about them is that the vast majority of their decks are really approachable for the average collector. Most of their decks are under $10, really easy to get a hold of, and yet they produce just really high quality stuff. So without any further ado, let's get into what my top 5 decks are. I'm going to start though with a few honorable mentions. So first off is the very first deck that I got from Theory11, that is the Citizens deck. This is one that exemplifies something that Theory11 is pretty well known for, and that is their tuck cases. Tons of embossing, tons of foiling on this one, and just a really well executed tuck case. Love the designs on this one all around. Just really nice with that foiling everywhere. So love this deck. The cards inside don't disappoint, but this one did just miss the cut with the top 5, so that's why it gets an honorable mention. Also just missing the cut is this one. This is the MailChimp Red deck. I love the blue and red contrast. That red foil really pops. I love how whimsical the cards are. That monkey theme goes throughout. Really fun cord cards featuring monkey faces on them. So really like this deck, but sadly just missed out on the top 5. There were some better ones for me. Probably the toughest exclusion from the top 5 though was this one. So this is my 6th deck, and that's Medallions. Again, love the gold foiling on this one. Really super high-end tuck case. I really like the contrast between this dark brown on the tuck case and the gold. That's a really good look together. So just tons of great design on this one, but just shy. Toughest exclusion from my top 5. That said, honorable mentions are out of the way. Let's get to the actual top 5. And at number 5, we have Animal Kingdom. And this is one that doesn't show up on a lot of people, I think's top 5 list, but for me, I love how different and fun and colorful this deck is compared to a lot of them. That bright orange is super vibrant. You still get a lot of embossing on the tuck case, so you know it's kind of a high quality one from Theory11. But this is one that actually benefits the World Wildlife Fund, so $1 from each deck goes to the World Wildlife Fund, so it's kind of a charity collaboration that Theory11 does from time to time. You've got a really nice back design to the cards as well. So pull these out, you got more continuation of that orange, a little better contrast so it pops even more on this one. But really nicely done. Love those in that hand-drawn style. You also get slightly custom on the pips and indices here all the way through. But my favorite part are these courts. Really vibrant, colorful, and fun court cards featuring different animals. Each suit represents a different region or a different environment for the animals. So you've got the jungles, for example, and the ocean here. And I love what they did in the kind of familiar poses of the courts, and yet kind of reimagining them as animals. I think that's really nicely executed. So it's a fun, kind of different deck, and that's why it made it to my top 5. Moving along, let's get to number 4. My number 4 deck is Nomad. This one was from a show that Theory11 started in collaboration with the Nomad Hotel in New York. So they did a magic show out there, produced this deck to go along with it. And right from the start, the front of this one just screams luxury. It's super clean, super modern looking. You've got that black background kind of dominating, but then just enough pops of gold throughout. But then as you turn the tuck case, you are just hit in the mouth with just a massive amount of foil and beautiful design and embossing all the way through. So really nice tuck case. Love what they did with that. You've got more gold foiling on the inside of the tuck case to continue to amp that feel up. And then really nicely executed cards as well. So the back design here, I really dig this black and white feel to it. It has tremendous contrast, and I love the stained glass look that you get with it. So the back designs really speak to me. I love that design. The cards themselves are mostly standard, so you do get a custom ace of spades, but then the rest of the deck, I think in an effort to kind of keep it really functional for Magic, is a pretty much standard deck, but you do get hits of the gold ink on the cards as well. So really nice high-end feel to the deck on this one. Nomad definitely deserves a spot in my top 5. That's Nomad. Let's move on to the top 3. So at number 3, we have Tavern on the Green. This is one of Theory11's newer decks, and I can't get enough of that green foil on the green background. So that green and gold, I think, looks fantastic together. This is done in collaboration with the Tavern on the Green in New York City, and I think they did a fabulous job with this tuck case. Just the tons of detail that pop out as you tilt this in different angles. You can see how fine the detail is on that foiling there. More foiling on the inside to give it some more pop. And the cards here, I really like. I think this green and white background looks outstanding. A ton of just pop to this one. I love how bright and vibrant that green looks on there. And then the faces of the cards are great as well. Really liberal use of gold inks throughout. You've got the custom pips all the way through, so it's a full custom deck. Really highly detailed. You can see that ace of spades there, all done up in gold ink. And then the quartz, I think, are really beautiful. This is a Kevin Cantrell design deck. So he's got a really signature style that you may have seen on some other decks. And spoiler alert, you may see him a little bit later in this top 5 as well. But you've got those hits of gold ink to really elevate these. I love the more kind of modernized art style. You have the Jack there with the club in his hands. So just love everything about this deck. I think every detail of it, nothing really just thrown in on this one. There's a lot of really intentional and beautiful details throughout this deck. And I love Kevin Cantrell's art style and what he does with quartz. So that is why the Tavern on the Green deck makes it into my top 3. At number 2, have another Kevin Cantrell deck, and that is Union. So this one's also designed by Kevin Cantrell Studios. This one, though, features on Americana from the time of the Civil War, so kind of 1700s, or rather 1800s, sorry, USA. And I really like the color scheme that they did on this. The bronze foil is fantastic on this all the way through. It almost produces a load of like a sepia tone to it, and the look on this one. So I love the designs. I love the eagles on this. You've got heavy use of embossing to kind of elevate the feel of the tuck case. So like the color scheme, like that bold design that goes on there. And it continues on the back, so you get even more of a feel of sepia on the back here. So those muted tones, I think, look great, and yet at the same time modern. So it's a great mix of older Americana and modern brought together on this one. It's a full custom deck, so I always like those. You get custom pips and indices, and then the quartz, I think, are really beautifully drawn. So you've got features of Americana throughout. Love the style, and again, it's that Kevin Cantrell style of character here with this kind of bold line drawings. I think it's really, really well done, and a lot of kind of fun and interesting characters as you go through in this one, the Union playing cards. So that one makes it to number 2 on my list. Well, that leaves 1 to go. Number 1 on my list of Theory11 playing cards is Contraband. Now, this is one that the minute you pick it up, you kind of get taken aback with how much detail is jammed into this thing. I'm going to do a fuller review on this one. We're going to look at this in more detail soon. But as you jump through and spin this around, first you see how much kind of foil there is again. But as you take a closer look, you can see just the number of small details that go into this. You've got swords, you've got the earth here, you've got the moon, you've got this face coming through here, you've got chains, just details and symbology covering this deck, and it's kind of overwhelming almost to take a look at, but it's also a lot of fun to kind of pour over this. And it doesn't just stop with the tuck case. You've got beautiful black foiling on the inside, but as you go through it, the cards themselves just continue that theme. So the back design, covered and just an explosion of that kind of symbology all throughout. And then the aces as well. The aces are, I was really taken aback by these. You look at it on face and like, wow, that looks really detailed. But as you pour over it, there's just more and more and more detail. You can go over this with a magnifying glass and just find more and more. I like the custom pips here, that kind of faded look a little bit to them. And then the quartz. So the quartz, in contrast to the really complicated backs and ace designs, are actually really kind of simplistic, but I think they pull it off really well. Kind of a modern, cleaner look, but they pulled off black and white quartz extremely well. All 4 aces continue that level of detail, and all the quartz kind of continue that muted look. So a ton to unpack in this one. I absolutely adore this deck. I think this is a great deck here from Theory11 with Contraband, and that is why it made it to the very top of my list. So that's it. That is my top 5 decks of cards from Theory11. Hope you enjoyed. They've got a lot of other great decks, so I'd be curious to know. Let me know in the comments what your favorite decks are from Theory11. That's just my top 5. So hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's other decks that you want to see on the channel. Subscribe for more deck reviews, unboxings, things like that. Always adding more content. And with that, I will see you for the next one.